Independent developers have been experimenting with a unique style of gameplay, and it's one that is often misunderstood by players. The focus is shifted from complicated, intense gameplay to a great environmental storytelling. Known primarily and often dismissively as walking simulators, the genre is also referred to as narrative experiences, first-person adventures, or exploration games. But the style, although fairly new, is proving to be very popular. And one of the earliest examples comes from game studio The Chinese Room with Dear Esther. Created by Dan Pinchbeck back in 2007, Dear Esther was developed as part of a project focused on exploring experimental gameplay and storytelling. And, as Dan reveals, the game promises an altogether immersive experience.
Dear Esther started from the idea of a question that was, if you could have a game which had mechanics but no story, could you have a game which had story but no mechanics? And really it was just about stripping away the gameplay experience until there was nothing but story left and seeing whether players still like that. And fortunately they did.
By removing combat, minimizing gameplay, and focusing heavily on the storyline, players have been treated to a whole new entrancing experience. There is only one objective in Dear Esther, and it's all about exploration. Players listen to an anonymous man read a series of letter fragments to a woman named Esther, whilst they travel around an uninhabited island. But whilst Dear Esther was at the beginning of the history for this genre, it's set to return. After proving a hit with gamers, the game is set for release on both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One later this year. Gaming studio The Chinese Room didn't stop there though. Dan and his team returned to the genre with a new game in 2015 with Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. This time round, Dan was determined to take the concept to a whole new level.
The biggest difference between Rapture and Esther is that most walking simulators or first-person explorers tend to be very linear, very corridor-based. Rapture's the first one that is set in an open world where you can go wherever you want, whenever you want, and the whole thing is completely non-linear.
Rapture sees the player inserted into rural England. The post-apocalyptic setting leaves the landscape deserted, and the player focused on finding out where everybody has gone. A twist on the audio log format of Dear Esther, the player can now follow orbs of light around the empty landscape. These flying balls of luminosity lead to ghostly reenactments from the past. Once again, the genre relies on the beautiful atmosphere and strong storyline to capture players' attention. And it has certainly succeeded in doing so, as the game has become a soaring success. A result that Dan believes has a rather uncomplicated reason behind it.
Why has it happened? I think the simple answer is because people like them. If people weren't buying them and loving them, we wouldn't be making them and other people wouldn't be making them.
Although there are games taking a different path with the genre, and it's all about interactivity. One of the most popular of these is Studio Campo Santo's debut game, Firewatch. Set in the Wyoming wilderness, players take on the role of Henry, a fire lookout assigned to his own tower in the Shoshone National Forest. This time, narration comes through a walkie-talkie, connecting Henry to his supervisor, Delilah.
This shale slide is steep. How do you expect me to get down this?
I don't remember it being that bad. It's not even named on our topos.
Through a series of choices and interaction with surrounding objects, the story moves forward. And it does so in more ways than one. Players are tasked not only with solving clues to uncover the reason behind mysterious developments in the vicinity, but they're also focused on developing a strong emotional bond between Henry and Delilah. Campo Santo designer Nels Anderson believes that evolution in gaming has enabled developers to take a softer approach.
I think the fact that there's just more of an appetite for there now, and for on the development side, it's much easier to create these. It's not easy. Making no game is easy, but it's at least within reach at all for a team of 5 to 10 people to put together something like this. I think that's given that kind of laid the foundation for people then actually building different experiences on top of that, which is cool, interesting, and I will definitely be very excited to see where people continue to experiment with the form going forward.
Firewatch isn't the only game combining gripping story with beautiful scenery, though. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter by developers The Astronauts has its very own unique approach to the genre. The developers have focused instead on horror and the paranormal. Players take on the role of private detective Paul Prospero to solve the mystery behind missing boy Ethan Carter. A mission that will quickly turn supernatural. The game involves lots of careful examination of clues, reconstruction of crime scenes, and replaying of past events. But whilst each game is unique, they all share things in common. A somber story, a stunning environment, a melancholy soundtrack, and a lead character who is, most of the time, alone and who cannot die. More and more people are seeking short, isolated experiences that promise to leave a lasting impact. Loneliness, it turns out, can be very addictive.